Hey, this is Chris at Art Secret Studio, and we're in the middle of going through the history of art in art history, telling an artist's view of why this artist thinks that certain people are famous. So we're now looking at Caravaggio, and he's taken something from Leonardo da Vinci, Chiaroscuro, and he's going to elevate it where he's going to push the severity of how light and dark something is as it jumps off the page. So chiaroscuro is this dramatic lighting. Originally it starts by making the shadows gradually darker as it disappears. The missing ingredient so many artists miss, though, is sfumato, S-F-U-M-A-T-O, by Leonardo da Vinci. It means just get a little darker on the edges, even on the light side, even if the light is farther away. Get a little darker on the edges to soften it, to make it turn and go around. So when you have this dramatic lighting, this figure ground relationship being light and dark on and off the form, and then sfumato, then you get something new that other artists don't get. And in a follow-up video, we're going to talk about the Caravaggioist. I hope I said that right. It's a group of artists, about 10 or 15 artists, who paint for quite some time just in this manner. But what they're missing is the softening of these edges. Ever so slightly, the sfumato part of this. So don't underestimate that for this. And let's get started and see what Caravaggio introduces to the world. Because remember, Baroque and the word painterly, meaning out of nowhere you just saw an edge, and then the edge disappears, and out of nowhere you see an edge. So it's going to explode out. So therefore you're going to have areas of rest where there's no contrast, no value, no color. And then boom, the light area jumps out. Let me take you on a journey. Let's see what happens with Christ. And here it is. So it would have started out something like Titian, where you're just saying, okay, I'm going to darken the background real quick. And I'm going to set the mood putting in the background. That's like Titian. It's not disegno, like the early Italian planning this out. Though I do believe there was a lot of planning. The entire painting most likely might have been toned some medium gray, like maybe this value everywhere. You know, it might have been smart had I done that. It still could, except I drew it in. So he's just kind of saying, now I wrote it off the page, so my guy's not there. So there's a big dark area right here by Christ. If you wonder why so many of the old masters' paintings are religious based, well, the church is paying for these paintings. They'll tell them what they want painted. They'll tell them how they want it painted. And they'll even tell them who's in it. And I know there's been times when some artists actually painted, Caravaggio actually painted something in the manner that he thought it was depicted, theologically, and the church disagreed and had him do it over. But that's off on a tangent here. So I'm just trying to block this in, having some areas that are lighter than the background, some areas that are darker. And this figure ground, that's what we keep calling this figure ground relationship, is constantly changing. Dark, light, dark. And then it just fades away. And his hair is could be darker than the background right there. Possibly. Maybe, maybe not. We're trying to do a 3-minute video, so I'm trying to go as fast as I can. And I'm not worried about the drawing, so you'll have to forgive it. I think the head would be somewhere in this area. And it's going to jump out from the background, so it's going to be light. And if you're wondering where Christ is, he's right here. So this dark area is making the dark red look light. Where in other cases, the light area is truly light, but then there is a dark side disappearing. What you thinking? My photographer's not thinking. He's not commenting. I think he's wondering, what am I looking at? Because he doesn't see what I see.
No, the camera's heavy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I bet it is. Those Z8 and 9s. Oof. Oh, it's the pro lenses. That's the heavy part. So here's really something that's going to happen. So you have this light shirt. And again, the Strathmore 300 series paper allows me to get my whites back. Not as much as Bristol paper, but really just it's so much easier and better than Bristol paper. So now the thumb is darker than the shirt right here. And then the fingers are lighter than the background, the palm here. And then each finger kind of going this way. And then that shirt's going into heavy shadow here. And where you want me to look, you just go a little darker and blend it out. You know, it'd be nice if this guy looked half human. I think there's a hand right about there. That puts his face right about here. Ooh, it looks like a gargoyle, something from Notre Dame. Too funny. And this guy could have a little more character, but I think you're getting the idea. So my goal is, something that was so against the art world was to take someone in the foreground here and make them dark. See, you wanted things darker farther away. So here's this hand on this arm of this figure right here. And then that part of his face is actually lighter than the background, so the background behind it has to be dark to make that look light. I know it's kind of hard to tell what the heck's going on. This figure somewhere, if there's a hand here and the head's up here somewhere, then this is part of his jacket and this guy's up here. And that puts his head somewhere here. And his hair is real dark. Face is kind of in shadow. Shirt's real dark in a couple places, especially by the hand that's popping out and exploding. I don't know if this is going to work. Does it make sense? So what is chiaroscuro is these exploding areas of light and dark. I think it would take hours to do this drawing. Now Caravaggio did something kind of unique here. Notice it's darker on the edges and lighter in the middle. That's sort of a vignetting, and it almost has the effect like what Rembrandt's going to do shortly, where he puts his light, he's telling you where to look. So you would have to make that hand come forward, you'd have to go really dark right against it. That piece of charcoal's not working. So now I just have to figure out what's lighter. Is the hair lighter than the forehead, or is the forehead lighter than the hair? You know, that little light right here on his neck. The light in the drapery. Little the arm is going down. There's like a sleeve here. It's coming down. It kind of goes up. There's hair coming around. This guy might have a hint of highlight right on his face, so you can see him standing out. You have all these little dark things, and then a little bit of light, then some dark things, and some light, and some dark things. A strong diagonal line. You know, the strong shoulder coming up like this, that's real dark. This is real dark. And now I'm starting to look at my little value differences. My, how light is this area? How dark is this area compared to that area? And then the little bits of, there's just something going on in that collar. Your eye has to constantly keep moving. You're always moving. There's something happening everywhere. There's little touches of light. There's little touches of dark. There's really dark behind him in places. And then not so dark. And then there you are again, that little bit of the sleeve, and then the white area on the shoulder here, and it kind of comes around. This whole thing comes down like this. Oh, my guy's like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. He's way off. Okay, just pretend you didn't see that. Yeah, and there's something really light, the highlight on that pot, just to make that jump out. And then there's that dark pot sitting right here. So what they're going to do with this dramatic lighting is constantly going light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, and having you jump all over the place looking at the painting. That hand is sitting right about there. That puts that face right here. And that's what makes this paper so great. Gosh, just the one smidgen, you're out of there. You change the whole thing. This whole thing's kind of dark. None of it's light. Just the hand is light. And part of the face is light. That's a hand. And there's a light area just against the face right there to break that up. So see how you have the dark, the medium, then the little flick of light again. And then there's like a light shell or something. And then there's light on his face right here and on his nose. And it comes around to his forehead. And it's on his beard a little bit. And there's some kind of wave right here in the fold. All of that is for a reason. It's just to keep them from being the same. There's just explosion of light everywhere in the painting. Even in the basket, you've got the yellow pear. And then the pear that's multicolored. And the highlights in the pear. And then you got to get me to him. So then you have the bread. And the light between the bread. And then the light on his arm down here. The bottom of his arm against the bread, the darker bread. So he's starting to seek out places to be lighter and darker and lighter and darker to have this jump out. But gosh, if you were just trying to figure out your painting, Titian's way of smearing charcoal over the whole drawing and work out your composition is really a pretty easy and cool way to do your drawing. But basically what you're saying is at no place anywhere is there rest. Your eye is moving everywhere. And you're making the viewer's eye jump from spot to spot to spot. Something happened. So this word painterly, like I see the hand and then I don't see his body in here. And then all of a sudden the highlight on the edge of the fold makes it just emerge and jump out. And I don't see anything here. Then I see the highlight and I don't see anything here against his chin and neck. And then all of a sudden there's the highlight. And then there's the dark again. And I don't see anything. And then boom, there's the next thing. There's his hair. So sometimes it's not just the white area that's jumping out, but now some parts of the dark hair against the light are jumping out. So all of a sudden now I'm starting to see other ways that he's finding to make a contrast. And he's using these darks in some spots, dark in the hair. As I start to jump around, there are darks in places that he is breaking this area up again. Even in the shadows, these little pattern things or whatever they are. And then in the basket, there's a pattern in the basket that he's getting me to look at. That's a basket if you don't know it. It's fruit. You know, and the hair, he's real dark in the hair right here. And then it's light. And then it's dark again. And then light. And then it's dark again. And then he's dark off the form here. So here he's darker off the form. Now he's darker on the form than the surrounding area. And he's lighter. And you would check your halftone with how light is his head compared to how dark is the background. That's the intensity of your painting. That's the key to your painting. We call that the halftone. And that value difference is what you're looking at. And gosh, it would take me hours to make this look good. But you're getting the idea. Okay, so what's up? So Baroque is out of the blue, boom, the word painterly. I see the hand, then I don't. Then I see the hand again. Then I see the shirt, I don't, and then I do. That there's something happening. It's dramatic. It's emotional. It's powerful. That means even in the darks, you're gradually changing value. That's important because in the next period, Tenebrism, a group of artists are going to challenge this. And I can't wait to see Tenebrism.